Hello, this is Katica Kristo-Nagy, and I'm her father, István. Katica is extremely bright. She's only 3, but knows all the letters. Nevertheless, before going to university, she still has to learn 2 things: to be toilet trained and to write good academic essays.
Very good job.
I continue this video without Katica, as she may find the scholarly structure of academic essay boring. But essay writing is not necessarily tedious. What I talk about mostly applies to dissertations, but it can be useful even in the case of a short undergraduate essay. I'm not a native speaker of English and not a native writer of English academic essay. Thus, during the last dozen of years, while I was working at American and British universities, writing and marking research, as well as teaching students, I had plenty of time to wonder about this imposed form. For me, the point is to make sense of it, to make it meaningful for us, rather than just doing what we are drilled or constrained to do. What are the merits of academic essay as a form? It serves a goal. This goal is to convey its content in the most straightforward way. It needs to combine clarity and scholarly thoroughness. It should facilitate easy reading, or even no reading at all. As an outstanding student of our institute, Coulter Lowers told me once when we discussed this form, its advantage is its predictability. He was quite right. This predictability is especially useful if the reader does not want to read the whole essay, but to scan and use it. This is very often the case. Readers will check a study and pick up what they will find useful for their studies. Academic essay is a form, a structure. I suggest thinking about it as a simulation of research. When we do research, we have some questions in mind and maybe some hypothetical replies to these questions. Then we start to investigate them by following some theories and methodologies without necessarily realizing them. We source data from studies and primary sources, we evaluate and analyze them, and we reach our conclusions, which open up new questions. We do that all the time. Think, for example, when you're just browsing the internet and follow up on something you will find interesting. Research and its presentation, the academic essay, are similar in structure, but beware, this is only similarity, or, as I said, simulation. The academic essay is far from being a description of the research one actually made. If research is about the discovery of the unknown, it tends to be a mess. If we know already what we'll find, it is not research about the unknown, but research for supporting what we already know. The essay is, however, a clear presentation of some of the findings of the research made. Its questions are most likely different from the questions the researcher had in mind when starting the research. To some extent, they can be fake questions formulated or at least finalized after the research was done. Think about the word study. You study a question, but the study you write, your academic essay, will not be a record of how you studied it, but a presentation of its results. Why to do this? Because in order to facilitate reading, we produce a text that imitates the structure of real research. Thus, the readers can follow the flow of the text as they were doing research, but without the complications the researcher encountered while pursuing the real research. Imagine that you are an explorer, arriving with your ship at a continent. The outline of this continent was already mapped by previous explorers, but you want to see what's inside. As you arrive on your ship, you may want to start mapping the inland by going up on the river. Your goal may be finding some gold, and your hypothesis is that there might be some gold there, possibly coming from the mountains where the river originates from. You start to sail up on a river, but you don't find anything godlike there. You look for another river, but you find out that it isn't navigable. You continue until you find a promising and navigable river. By going inland, you have to choose which one of the branches of the river you follow. And when eventually, instead of gold, you find silver and sail back to your own land, you can present your discoveries in various ways. You can give a heroic account of your adventures, or you can present all the data you collected during your expedition, or you can write an academic essay about finding silver in that continent. Thus, if you choose to write an academic essay, you will not talk about all the difficulties you experienced and all the rivers and branches where you spent possibly immense amount of time without finding anything you have been looking for. Or, if you will mention them, you will do that shortly when describing the limitations of your research, indicating that these rivers and branches will need further exploration with different goals or means. As you did not find gold, the title of your essay will not be Gold in the New Continent, but Silver in the New Continent. And your research question will not be, is there any gold in the new continent, but something like, where can we find silver in the new continent? Your text will be short, clear, and straightforward, giving to your king the key to the silver. You will make clear what is new in your discoveries, so that you show respect to the other explorers whose finding you used and highlight your own contribution. You'll also indicate what you think is still worth further exploration. By showing respect, you call for respect. And as most explorations are driven by both competition and collaboration, this respect is as important in academia as at royal courts or on the wide oceans. I gave this example also because our field, Arab and Islamic studies, is still relatively unexplored and incredibly rich. I had the honor to write the first major Western research monograph on an author about whom, had he been English, tons of books would have been written. His name was Ibn al-Muqaffa, and I hope to talk about him in other videos. Our field is inexhaustible. Finding something new is not an issue. I'd like to conclude this first section by another image about research and its presentation. Research can be as muddled and mazy as the delta of a river, but an academic essay should be as clear-cut as a canal. The essay structure is useful because it leads the reader through the research you want to present in the most accessible way. It follows but simplifies the natural structure of research and makes it not only accessible, but even interesting for the reader. The pristine flow of a well-written academic essay is artificial. Given that it is a form of expression, you can even look at it as an artwork, of which the main aesthetic value is clarity.